Today we're going to be making a pinch pot, and we're starting with this wedged ball of clay. This is about 1.5 pounds, and I'm going to make it a little smaller. So it's about a size that'll fit into my palm. And then I'm going to shape this into a ball to start out. I'm working on a canvas surface and a small wedging board. You can work on newspaper, maybe on top of a plastic tablecloth or a large plastic bag that might be cut open to absorb any moisture. So I'm going to start with a nice ball. This is about the size of a baseball. You can go a little bigger if you want, or maybe even a little smaller. And to start with a pinch pot, we're going to take our thumbs in the center and start to make a divot. And the whole time I'm doing this, I'm turning and keeping my fingers on the outside and my thumbs on the inside. I'm using more pressure, creating a nice big hole in the center. So even though the name of this pot is called a pinch pot, it's a pinch method, I'm going to be careful not to pinch with my thumb and index finger. The pinching method is more of almost like a duckbill movement, and it's also involves pulling and stretching the clay to create the walls of the pinch pot. So I'm going to keep turning and turning. And notice I'm not sitting this down onto the tabletop surface. Now it's getting bigger. So I'm going in and I'm creating the depth of the pot. I'm creating the bottom and the floor. And I want to make sure that I don't leave a lot of clay around the bottom of the pot. That I'm making all of the side walls and the bottom all the same width. Okay, so it's starting to get a little thinner in the bottom, and now my walls are still a little thick, so I'm bringing that pinching method up to the top, but notice they're still pretty thick. And you can decide what shape you want. You can have a taller pot or a wider pot. After you create the bottom, then you can determine if you want taller walls or shorter walls to your pot. Okay, then I'm going to sit it down and I'm going to continue to shape a little bit. Remember not to pinch the top. If it gets too thin, it will then crack. So you don't want it to crack. And I just want to see that it's even throughout. And I'm using my hands in the bottom to also feel for even distribution of clay. Okay, and the bottom is still pretty round, so I kind of like that shape. And I'm going to turn it in my hands a little bit, press out the bottom where the bottom and the sides attach. Okay, and that's pretty much my pinch pot. So I have some water and a sponge, and I can use that now to do some smoothing. I usually like to do most everything with a pinch pot with my hands. And you really don't need to use any tools. And you want to be careful that you do not use too much water. Water will weaken the structure. Okay. And the bottom is still thick. I don't want to go too thin because I'll end up with some cracks. So just smoothing it out with my sponge. Trying to get rid of some of my finger marks and thumb marks, but they're very natural. A natural part of pinch pot is seeing your handprints because this is a handmade pot. Okay, so there we go. That's your basic pinch pot. You can always turn it over if you want to try to even the rim of the pot. And you can smooth out a little more. Anywhere there's cracks, you want to just rub over those places to get rid of the cracks, because usually they'll get bigger. If your piece is fired, they may open up in the kiln. But if you're using air dry clay, it's just going to harden as is. And there's my pinch pot. I'm going to smooth out the rim again. And then with any piece you make, it's a good idea when it's, you can wait till it's leather hard if you'd like. It's a good idea to write your initials on the bottom of the pot with a needle tool or even a ballpoint pen. And there's the pinch pot.